There are places in this world where darkness lingers, where ancient rites and forbidden practices twist the very fabric of reality. Behind closed doors, in the dead of night, what lies beyond is drawn to those who dare to reach into the unknown. A single mistake, a ritual half completed, a deal struck in desperation, can invite something far more sinister than we can imagine. A shadow creeping from under the bed, a figure standing in the doorway, or a silent, watching presence that vanishes without a trace. There are entities beyond our understanding that we have no business tempting. However, even in the midst of countless red flags, one thing remains painfully clear. Humans are inherently curious at heart. We'll see you on the inside. Hey there. Welcome back to Sleep with the Lights On. My name is Scott, and I'm joined, as always, by the world's wettest blanket, my father-in-law, Christian. How are you doing, Christian?
I am wonderful.
We've got some interesting stories.
Don't we always?
No. Not always. It's fine. It's cool. We're touching on stories that have to do with witchcraft.
Oh, I like witchcraft.
Well, I've been working on another. That was such a fun episode, the first one that came out. And it's really just things that go wrong when people use witchcraft. Like most of these stories are from actual witches who are like, I was doing this and I messed up.
Which is what's going to happen. I mean, we always make
what's
mistakes.
going to happen. Witches be crazy. Anyway, so I've been working on a part 2 for that. And I was like, that'd be a fun Sleep with the Lights On, because if there's anything that I love more than really infuriating people with my opinions on things. So
that is infuriating. We're going to go pagan.
Sure. We're not going to get into that again. If you guys want to hear that one, that's a couple episodes back. Enjoy. That's on what the doppelganger episode, something you wouldn't expect it to be on. That's what the pagan argument is on.
I don't even remember the pagan argument now.
Well, time is a flat circle, so you're reliving it right now as we speak. So you'll be there soon. Anyway, if you guys are new to the show, welcome. How you doing? We talk about ghosts and shit. Is that your jam? And hit that subscribe button. If you're old to the show and you haven't hit that subscribe button, what the hell are you doing? You know, between you and me, like put Christian aside for a second, between you and me. Why? Anyway, follow us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod if you haven't done that either. This first story is called The Eye and is by Z Dripschin. When I was young, maybe 8 to 10, my family told me a story about how my uncle was so into black magic and demon worship that he had to sacrifice his eye to get out of whatever trouble he was in, and that he did all that stuff in my aunt's house. Fast forward a year, and we end up living with my aunt in the same house where my uncle did the demonic stuff. One night, I woke up in the middle of the night and looked at the door to the bedroom I was staying in. I slept on an inflatable bed on the ground, and the bedroom door was less than 5 feet away from me. It slowly starts to open. At this point, little kid me starts to shit bricks. But the worst comes after. The door opens, and as it opens, it reveals a tall, slender, demonic-looking figure that was pitch black, no features, just a black silhouette. A shadow person. It starts to move toward me, and I'm screaming for my cousin. Side note, we shared a room, but he wasn't in the room when I woke up. He opens the bathroom door directly across from the room, and when he does so, the bathroom light illuminates the darkness, and the figure disappears as the light hits it. My aunt comes out and comforts me, basically saying I just saw the shadow of a person in the house, even though no one else was awake except for my cousin who was in the bathroom. Moving on. It scared the actual shit out of me. I don't know if he actually means that he shit himself when it happened, but I would assume that might just be a weird turn of phrase that he's using and using incorrectly. Unless he shit himself. Hey, for the point, like, sake of the story here, let's just say he shit himself, you know?
Hey, I'm not going to judge somebody that does that when they think they see a shadow man or a shadow person.
Sometimes I almost shit myself and I don't have to see a shadow man, you know?
Because you're getting old.
That happens, it turns out. And it's a fast decline, friends.
What are we even talking about here?
We're getting back to the witchcraft and stuff.
Please.
It scared the actual shit out of me, and I've never forgotten about it since it happened. Even today, my family will hear the story and not believe me, but it's whatever. Long story short, don't stay in houses that were previously used for the occult. And then there's a little after note that after this was posted, he came back and put an edit in, and he said, I asked them about it again, And apparently he didn't just, quote, sacrifice his eye. He scooped it out with a spoon and used it to bargain out of the deal he made with whatever he was messing with. Apparently, the eye isn't the only thing he traded in his deal. I asked my family to swear on their lives that they weren't following through on some 15-year-old joke they played on me when I was a little kid, and they did. They aren't the type of people to lie like that, so it kind of freaks me out more looking back on it. What if it wasn't satisfied with its deal and came back for something more valuable? Oh, that last part seems a little conceited, but creepy all the same. No. It's a no from me, boss.
So the uncle scooped his own eye out. I feel like
Apparently.
This is when I almost need a soundbite from a couple years ago.
It just opens my eyes a little.
No.
That's the best one, though, obviously.
No, I was going to go with one that you've ridiculed me for saying again. But this is what meth does. Aside from that, you can do whatever you can do whatever you want to with that one word. But that soundbite would be awesome.
Sure.
There's so many things this could be other than him actually
selling his soul to the devil
or his eye. I mean, it's just his eye.
To get out of a deal. So apparently he made I guess the timeline is he made a deal some odd number of years ago, as you often do. And then the time passes and you're like, oh, it's time for me to pay up my side of this deal. And he's like, no, how about I scoop my eye out?
Yeah, but
give me your eye and I'll...
Did the devil say, you got to give me something valuable like your eye?
I guess I'll take your eye. Your soul can wait for now.
Or was he just thinking that let's start with my eye and see if he'll take that and let me out of the deal?
I would have started with something far less extreme. I would have been like, how about I got a hangnail on my pinky. How about that? Would that work? It hurts. It hurts like a bitch when you take it off, I promise. He'd be like, no, that's not going to work. You're like, all right, guess my eye then. I don't know, man. It's creepy. Number one, if the family was playing a joke on him, that's the longest joke of all time. Like 15-year gap. Be like, oh, he's bringing up the weird shadow thing again.
That's actually not a funny joke.
That's
even especially if he was a kid at the time, that's not funny in any way.
Exactly. So the odds that his actual family was playing, like his whole family, I'd get like siblings or something like that, but his whole family, not very likely.
The fact that his family is like Uncle Joe Bob used to mess with the occult and
Were you picturing a hillbilly family?
I just was pulling names, so you can either pick Joe or Bob.
Yeah,
but his family, whatever. He probably listened to heavy metal music and they thought he was worshiping the devil.
Well, there's a lot of stories about people that like practice witchcraft in areas, right? And then when they move on or whatever, sometimes the familiar or some shit, whatever that is. I thought that goes with you constantly, but I don't know, maybe it comes back. But people claim to see like weird entities and stuff like that where witchcraft was practiced. Even the friend I used to work out with in Vegas, his ex, apparently her parents were into Santeria or something like that, like voodoo in the closet, like of her bedroom.
They don't practice Santeria.
Yeah, they don't have a crystal ball either. But apparently in the closet is where they practice all this shit. And he was like, we moved into that house after we got married. And that was a room that had all kinds of crazy shit happening. The closet especially felt really bad. And he was like, it was only after that I found out that my, wife's parents were actually, concocting these crazy rituals and all these other wild things in the closet there.
What if it has nothing to do with the devil and just when you do certain rituals, you kind of just pierce the veil a little bit or
why is it always got to be dark entities? Why isn't it ever like a being of light? Like, hello, welcome.
Maybe they are beings of light. Maybe that's we
I guess everyone their eyes aren't working properly. Like, oh my God, look at this disgusting, beautiful creature. I love you.
I mean, who out there made the rule that all good entities have to be bathed in white, the white light?
It's not even that. It's the feeling that you get. It's the sense that you're like, I am in danger. Like, it wasn't like, yes, look at this beautiful entity entering my room. It was, oh shit, I'm going to crap my pants. That, of the two, if you had to just low-hanging fruit of those two, which one would you say that is, good or bad?
I think it's going to be different for everybody because perspective is a big deal. Some people want to be in complete danger, and that is the best thing in the world for them.
Perspective is shit.
I mean, if you only want to look at the world through a certain lens, that is your lens, and
good, bad, good, bad, good.
But there's good and bad are not that easily determined.
Sometimes they are.
Sometimes.
In this instance, I think it is.
Is it? I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
The fact that the uncle scooped out his eyeball may not be related to this shadow person that this child saw.
Yeah, I'm sure they're completely isolated incidents. No, there's no way, dude.
So what you're saying is every time somebody sees a shadow person, somebody scooped out a body part in that same house in the past.
I'm not saying that they have to scoop out a body part. I'm saying that in this case, they scooped out a body part, yeah. And there's really only one body part you can scoop out, and it's your eyeballs.
It depends on how sharp the scoop is.
Weird.
I feel like you've never watched anything with Hannibal Lecter.
We're going to go ahead and get into the second story before we just turn this into yet another fun debate. Isn't that nice? Isn't that cool and fun and great and hip? This next story is called Under the Bed, and it's by Edarain or something. It says a lot of people aren't going to believe this, but that's fine. Classic way to start a scary story that no one's going to believe. You shouldn't believe half the things on the internet anyways, but I'm saying that this actually did happen.
I believe you.
Wow. And there's a first for everything, turns out, even on this show. So back in the summer last year, I started getting more into witchcraft and rituals. Spell jars, incense, herbs, moon water, all that jazz. So after I did a bunch of research on how to make spell jars and the steps to go through it, I decided I wanted to finally make a protection spell jar.
What the fuck is a spell jar?
I believe it's like a mason jar they put all their trinkets and whatnot into.
Okay.
That
doesn't sound like real witchcraft to me, but whatever.
Hey, witches. Christian would like to take this opportunity to walk you through real witchcraft.
I don't really know.
Are you prepared?
That doesn't sound like the stuff I read about.
Well, you don't read about witchcraft very often, except when you're performing it yourself.
I don't perform witchcraft, but I do read about it.
Okay. You sound like you're really trying to convince everyone, and that's cool.
I just listened to a podcast on the Salem witch trials. I know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, if you feel on the Salem witch trials, then you don't. But that's fine. Anyway, let's continue. I decided I finally wanted to make a protection spell jar. That's the first spell jar or spell you have to do before you start anything else. If you would have just waited, Christian, one sentence.
I feel like you all of a sudden when I'm telling a story.
Classic. So I did everything I remembered to do. I lit incense and cleansed the jar and my workspace. I told each herb what its purpose was as I put my hand into the jar, and I used a white candle to seal it. Okay, Paprika, here we go. What you're going to do is you're going to bring me a sugar daddy. Can you do that? Paprika's like, yeah, I got you, fam.
Maybe she didn't ask for a sugar daddy. She just
asked for some sugar.
Yeah.
After that, you go to a neighbor, but who cares, right?
This is the modern age. You don't talk to your neighbors anymore.
Yeah, so she used a white candle to seal it. Keep in mind, I did this around 11:30 to 12 at night. So I started to get a little dizzy and tired, assumed it was just from the incense, and decided to go to bed. I was laying down in my bed, and I felt kind of weird, like something was just off, like that kind of gut feeling. So I peek over a little on the side of my bed, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw this black figure was just sitting on the ground staring at me. And then I quickly turned my head fully, and it looked like its whole body just smacked onto the ground and dragged underneath my bed. Can you visualize that? Did you get that?
I get that.
How creepy does that sound, dude? Thanks.
I don't tend to believe in these things.
Dude, just like psh, and then slut.
I don't believe in these things, but if something did that,
horror movie, you're watching a horror movie and that happens, you're the guy in the first story. You shit yourself immediately. You're like, oh God. It happens. It comes for all of us in time. So it looked like its whole body just smacked on the ground and dragged underneath my bed. Of course, I turn my phone flash on and I start freaking out, and I quickly look up what the fuck that was and if I accidentally caused it. Turned out I didn't pray to my spirit guide for safety before I did the spell, so the thing I saw was a shadow man. And they usually show up if you did something in the spell wrong. I don't know, just thought I'd share my creepy experience. Ooh, that visual alone, I'm a very visual person, and that visual alone, no thank you. No, hell no. If I see that, I'm never leaving the bed, because I know what's underneath there. It's not going to come for you, boy.
It will eventually.
Oh, shit.
I feel I need to comment on something here.
Oh, God. We're back on are we on the spell jars?
No,
I'm coming back to the spell jars.
I'm just saying, I don't know much about witchcraft.
I know.
And I don't claim to.
Well, actually, that's where you're wrong.
No,
Because you claim constantly that what I'm saying isn't real witchcraft, or that's not how it was done.
Okay.
So obviously,
you're right.
You either know or you don't know, man. You can't do both.
In this case, I feel like this is not real witchcraft. This almost sounds like
Pinterest witchcraft.
Oh, yeah, or TikTok type of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it could
maybe I'm wrong.
But also TikTok, just because it's on TikTok doesn't mean it's not witchcraft. You know what I found out the other day? There's a show that came out called The Originals. And the writers for that, it's like a vampire thing. Like
I've heard of it.
Origin story or something, Vampire Diaries or some shit like that. Who knows? Who cares? But there was a panel, and one of the reporters asked the writer, was like, I heard that you guys actually used real incantations for your show. And she was like, is that true? And the lady was like, yeah, actually we did. And we got a phone call from some witch in Louisiana telling us that we have no idea what we're doing, and we're, the possibility is you're opening up like demonic portals or whatever into every viewer of this show. And I was like, oh shit. But you also kind of felt that, right? When you watch those shows, you're like, this feels a little more than just regular old Latin. Well, you don't. I mean, you got to be able to feel that, But
well, also you got to be able to understand what they're saying in Latin, which most of us can't.
Yeah, but you can feel it. You're like, ooh, this is a vibe. It's not a great one. Not a fan.
That doesn't mean it's witchcraft, though.
Doesn't mean it's not.
Right.
Aha, gotcha. No.
But we could be doing accidental witchcraft all day long because we can string a bunch of words together in a certain tone. And if they bring on these entities or open up the doorway to other dark dimension. Yeah, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
So the only way to fix that is just to never utter another word or...
Hey, you know what? Actually, I'd be down for that. I would be so down for that.
You think you would, but then after a while, your mind goes crazy and it starts then you really start seeing shadow people when you start hallucinating because you don't talk to anybody.
But if I've been hallucinating the whole time, then what do you mean when I start hallucinating?
I mean...
Aha, gotcha again. That's twice.
No. Life is just
what you
one
make
grand
of it.
Hallucination.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that? It's actually, if there's any witches out there, can you talk about the spell jar thing? Let Christian know if that's a real... I feel like I've heard that before. Isn't that what that's like what you put all the stuff in? I
feel like that's like...
You're picturing like a tiny burlap sack with like a rabbit skull or something, right?
No, I'm picturing people that haven't modernized witchcraft.
What is it going to be? A note on their phone? I took this picture of this sage bush.
Oh, this reminds me of something else I wanted to get into about this story. If you're going to do witchcraft late at night, doesn't sound like this person was an expert.
Who does witchcraft in the morning? Less scary, probably. At the very least.
Glenda.
Oh.
The good witch. Oh. Maybe have a checklist so you don't forget shit.
Oopsie.
That seems
it's
like,
my first time. Yeah, that's seems like witchcraft. That's got to be witchcraft 101. I mean, I don't peruse the subreddits very often, but I believe that's probably it.
There's got to be instructions out there. Just copy them down, take a screenshot, and follow them step by step. Don't bring any shadow people in because you messed up. I mean,
you messed up. All right, it happens. It happens to all of us.
Maybe they should have certification for witches.
Maybe they should. What about you guys, huh? What, do you vote certification for witches? Answer in the comments, but don't give any context so that by the time we read the comment, we're like, did we mention something like that in this video? Because it's been 2 months since we recorded it. A little behind the scenes, hot action goss for you. You like that? This next story, if I can continue on with the show that we're doing, is called The Cat and the Cult. Ooh, this is a fun one. This is a great one.
Sounds like a children's book.
It is. Dr. Seuss's unfinished final book.
The book that Dr. Seuss wrote after reading the Necronomicon.
You just love bringing up the Necronomicon, don't you?
Have I before?
Yes. Christian, we've been doing a show for about 4 years, somewhere in that mix. We have both mentioned everything at least once.
Oh, I'm going to go home then.
Okay, it's time. We'll see you later. Closing time. No. You don't have to go home, but you certainly can't stay here because I turn off the cameras. Okay? Unless you're astral projecting, it doesn't matter. Here we go. The Cat and the Cult. I was a member of a ghost hunting crew in my free time for a few years.
It feels like the last story all of a sudden. Does he have a checklist?
Maybe. On one occasion, We were investigating at an old mental hospital, tuberculosis hospital. It was a huge building with 4 floors. I did a walk through a few hours before and were on the property all day setting up cameras and equipment. Fast forward to about halfway through the investigation. We'd been through most of the building and decided to go to the basement at about 3 to 4 a.m. While walking through, we started hearing some weird noises on the opposite side of the hospital. We made our way over and saw light coming from underneath a door. Disclaimer, this building had no electricity, so obviously we were spooked. We opened the door, and that's when we saw about 6 or 7 people sitting around a pentagram drawn on the floor surrounded by candles and a dead cat in the middle. Sorry, I should have given a trigger warning. The cat wasn't alive. The cat wasn't alive, folks. I'm sorry. I've done you dirty.
The cat had expired.
I'm sorry, Teresa. I know you're listening. I love cats as well. And I'm just equally heartbroken that Satanists all over the world are doing this to our beloved feline friends. Just kidding. Who's to say for sure?
I agree. Don't do that, people.
Don't do that. They all had on black cloaks and red masks. Very horror movie-like. We were frozen in terror until one stood up, maintaining eye contact with me, and ran towards us. I slammed the door shut and we all took off. We got outside and immediately called the cops. When they arrived, we took them to the room and the people were gone. No candles, no pentagram, no dead cat. Just disappeared. The cops thought we were crazy, but we went through footage on a GoPro I had strapped to my chest that caught it all. I don't have the footage anymore, unfortunately. Classic. But honestly, I don't know if I ever want to see it again. Should also note that the only entrance and exit to the hospital is where we came in and out. The back door was boarded shut, and we couldn't find any broken windows anywhere. We were by the front door when we called the cops and didn't leave it. They never came in or out of that door that night. We had a camera on the door all day, and they never went in. And we never saw them come out before the cops got there. Only thing I can assume is they either live in that basement or aren't actually alive. Still have nightmares to this day of opening that door and the eye contact held with this man that ran at me. I'll never know what happened, but I left the crew and never looked back after that night. Well, that's probably the smartest decision you've ever made, to be like, you know what, I think this is not for me. It's closing time on my career in this paranormal investigator unit. What do you think? Well, I'm going to call bullshit on all that. That didn't happen, first of all. You're Southern in my mind.
I have not been to the South yet, but if I grew up there, I'd probably sound something like that. But this is a fascinating story, but I mean, it sounds like when he showed the cops the video, there were actually people on. He didn't really specify that. He kind of left that one.
He was like, I had a GoPro strapped to my chest and also didn't catch anything. There was nothing there, but I'm not going to say that. It ruined the story.
Yeah, I didn't keep the footage because of that. But
that does happen. You do lose. Look, I've lost so much of like personal work that I've done and stuff like that I've put together and saved over the years just because a hard drive fell or something. Like I've lost some very special moments over the years. So this stuff does happen. Like,
it does.
Even if you want to keep it forever, like sometimes shit does just go wrong.
But if you run into a devil worshipping cult,
you gotta hope
in an abandoned hospital, you should save it.
You wear that shit around your neck.
Yeah.
Forever.
This is a good time to remind everybody, save your digital information in multiple places. Just in case.
Back that shit up.
Not just to one place, multiple places. There's plenty of options. But also, when the when he first walks into that room and sees these people, I'm like, there are people, when
people
I stick up for like, I push back a lot on the devil worship stuff, but there are people like this that will go out there and
murder an animal.
Yeah.
Do
stuff like this.
Actually, you know what? Someone was on Rogan and talked about coming across that. I think I sent that to you. Some snake catcher or something like that had permission to go and hunt, I think, pythons or something within this hospital. And he said he found like satanic imagery everywhere, like spray paint. There was rituals down there. He said there was a doll. He said he has it on video, him passing this doll. And he said as he was walking and he entered this one area that felt really bad, the doll hit him in the foot. And it was a completely different room, same exact fucking doll. Like, and this is, like I said, this isn't a dude that he was like, I don't claim any religion or anything, but this was the creepiest shit that I've ever seen in my life. And so people do that. They actually do go out to these like, way abandoned places, do these rituals, call on these entities, these demons. Even if they don't exist, people will actually do that, sacrifice not just animals, but people, children, the whole nine. It's pretty fucked up. Pretty fucked up and real.
In the U.S., It's not generally, there's not generally a lot of instances where it's not animals.
Hey, guys, real quick,
That's proven.
Like, this isn't the podcast for it, and I'm not going to mention it, but if you know, you know.
I mean, you got to.
Come on, man.
Certain people have to agree with this because that is in the realm of their beliefs. There are evil people that do this stuff. I mean, there is a group of basically the drug cartel.
Hell yeah.
In Mexico, that was their whole thing. Now, we can argue about whether they were trying to actually invoke evil spirits or the devil.
What else would you be doing?
Let me explain what else they could be doing. This could be a way to control their cartel, which, they're involved in this stuff. They're drugged out of their minds. They've drank the Kool-Aid that this whatever drug cartel's doing. These things did happen, and that was the whole point of these things that was pushed by the cartel. So it does happen. It's not this vast conspiracy of elite people doing this, no matter how much you want to believe it.
Eyes wide shut.
Are there, which is a fictional movie, based on some fact? Probably.
Most likely. Yeah.
We do know that people get into these clubs and
they get bored with all their money and power, and they're like, what are we going to do now? Oh, I know.
I think there's
the children.
I think there is a more recent example of what happens in certain groups, and it's called blackmail.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a guy.
It's unraveling as we speak.
That everybody talks about. I don't know if you want me to mention his name.
Probably not.
But he's a dead guy now, or he's not alive anymore. But
this concludes the episode, folks. We hope you enjoyed.
I don't know how to explain.
With the lights on.
But either way.
I was just talking about like satanic demon stuff, and you're taking it to a really weird drug spot. Do you have any thoughts on
No,
the
I'm
actual
moving
story?
away from the drugs. I'm just saying that some of these people, and even if they're in power, this is blackmail. They film these people.
Doing inappropriate acts.
And they use it against them, and they
and
control
these are the
them
people
forever.
that run the world, and that's fine.
That's everybody.
Cool.
It's
all great.
Yeah, but we can't make a blanket statement that these are all the people that run the world.
I made a wet blanket statement, and this is the show for it, if anything.
Anything's possible.
So do you have any thoughts on the actual story itself? If we can close this out.
I think the story would be more fascinating if those people never existed in reality. He just saw it.
That would be the weirdest stone tape.
That would be but it would be kind of cool.
Of all time. Like, oh God, what the hell?
It would be cool to me.
It would be great to you. You'd be like, hey, can I join in your hacky sack game?
No, I think it'd be a fun thing to talk about, expand. Like you walk into a cult setting, a satanic cult.
Baby deer.
But they're not there.
Baby horse.
Yeah. They're not there.
Yeah.
But you saw them.
I know they're there.
If you were luckier than most people, you have it on your GoPro that you lost. That you should have posted on the internet, because then it's never lost.
Cool. What was your favorite story? You had 3 interesting witchcraft related.
I like the one where the black thing went under the bed. The black.
That's the creepiest visual. I'll give you that. That is absolutely the scariest visual. Just because I hear the sound. I hear it.
Like it would scare me now. But like if I was young and something like that happened, like if I was a kid, that would be terrifying.
It wouldn't scare you now?
It would scare me now, but it wouldn't terrify me.
And you just be like, oh, well, anyway.
No, I'd get up and look under the bed. And if there was nothing there, I'd be like, fucking brain.
So damn naive. I need to hop up and look under the bed real quick and be like, well, shucks, there's nothing. Oh, like there's got to be some common sense in there somewhere, Christian. You wait at least 10 minutes, you keep the lights on, and you listen for breathing.
Wait. You don't just wait 10 minutes and keep the lights on. You sleep
with the lights on. Yes. That is true.
Also, there's reasons you don't mess with this stuff.
As I said in the monologue.
Curiosity. I'm going to take it away from the magical, supernatural thing.
Okay.
If you're not in a good space mentally, don't mess with witchcraft.
And remember, friends, to sleep with the lights on, because you never know when messing with witchcraft might go wrong. And what else lurks in the shadows?
Demons.
That'll do. It's over. It's been over.
Be be scared